20 years ago, when my wife and I first met, we started off as friends. And as we were getting to know one another, the topic of therapy came up because I was in school to become a therapist and she had just graduated from the same school. And a part of the program at the school was that they required students to go to therapy. And at the time, I had been doing some deep, great work with a therapist. And as Crystal and I were talking about one of my sessions, she asked me who my therapist was. And as I said her name, Crystal's face turned. Her face turned to a look of shock. What were the chances? My therapist was Crystal's best friend. I was doing deep soul work with her soul friend, and we were headed towards a dual relationship territory. I remember feeling so sad after the shock wore off because I had a hunch that this overlapping of worlds was not going to work. And it didn't really for any of us. I mean, we all found our way through it. I got an amazing wife out of it, but it was messy and a bit painful for everyone. When we have more than one role in someone's life, it's called a dual relationship. For therapists, it's unethical, right? We are to remain a client's counselor, and that is it. The heart behind an ethical standard like that comes down to the difference in power. A therapist has more relational power than their client because there is no mutuality. But as you know, there isn't an ethical standard for pastors and church planners. So when it comes to dual relationships, it can get sticky. When you are your friend's pastor, you are in a dual relationship. There are many, many landmines when it comes to dual relationships between a pastor and a congregant. But there are two main areas of focus I want to talk about. The first is the danger for you as a church planner and pastor, and that is you might find yourself giving more than you had to give and extending yourself too much. For your congregation, the danger is located in the impact it can have on their relationship to the larger church community and to God. If things go south in your friendship, it will impact their wanting to be a part of the church, the place they found their community. And sometimes it even gets mixed up with their feelings and beliefs and experiences of God. The most important thing you can do to help maintain the health in a dual relationship is to name it and understand the different roles you play in someone's life. When you've noticed you're in a dual relationship, then you've already won half the battle. It's not inherently bad to have a dual relationship, but it's important to know where the power dynamics lie. I want to say that again. Pastors and church planners have power, even if it doesn't feel like it. And the best way forward and to do the least amount of harm is to be aware of that power. And now I want to turn my focus to you. You are the one doing this hard work. You know being a pastor and church planner is unlike any other role. It's one of those special vocations that is deeply spiritual and sacred. You've been especially created to help people heal and find God, and that's amazing. And yet, we are all humans imperfectly coming to relationships. Planting a church takes so much of your life, and you know that better than anyone. And you're okay with that, right? You signed up for this job, but you'll need boundaries in order to not give more than you have. When you give more than you have, we end up empty and unsuccessful. Figuring out what to say no to is just as important as what you say yes to. Your work as a church planter and pastor is being shaped by the things you say yes to and the things you say no to. I want you to think of a time in the last 30 days where you wished you have said no, but you said yes. Whatever is the scenario, I want you to take a moment and think about what that was like. What kinds of feelings did you have about the experience? Was there a moment in the exchange where you knew you wanted to say no and then you ignored that? Oh, that angst. What kinds of feelings did you have about the person who made the original request? That's a tricky one. Did you feel closer to them after giving them what they wanted? It does not take much of a jump for me to know. It didn't feel good, and most likely, it did not help grow your relationship in any meaningful way. I ask these probing questions because oftentimes the way we make changes is by working our way backwards through a scenario. So, noticing all of the clues and cues that you missed the first time will help you notice them easier the next. Pay attention to themes and patterns in your relationships and ministry. Those are the places to evaluate first. I know it takes effort and might feel strange to focus on yourself, but the more you can remember you are human with your own needs and are on your own journey, the better. Lastly, as a church planner, you'll need to grieve and acknowledge that there is a difference now. You are not just a friend, you are also a pastor. And it's okay that this means a change in many of your friendships with those who are in your congregation. But when you can see and understand these dual relationships, you'll begin to feel and sense the freedom and fruitfulness that can come.